Subidope, Brandon.
Hello.
That's a good one. That's pretty much how you sign on to every pod. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So me and Brandon talking about some Dragon Ball stuff today. But also I did another Dragon Ball podcast yesterday with Jimmy. And it was jammy. Yeah, it was jammy. It was a mess of a day. And by mess of a day, I mean it was a blast, man. Like we drank a lot, and then we ate a lot of pizza, and we basically the idea was get him over here to do some OG Dragon Ball Super Dope for the Patreon. We released free episodes there on Wednesday, and I was like, oh man, I'm not sure if I got Brandon still, and if we do, I'm not sure what we're gonna do. Maybe we do something that's not Dragon Ball, and we'd already talked about the idea of is there a good way to introduce somebody into Dragon Ball in short order? So I really wanted to do that, and you were still available to do it. So
Hell, even my wife thought it was a good idea.
yeah,
She knows nothing about Dragon Ball whatsoever.
And the reason
That's
I
not
thought
true,
of it, I mean, the reason that question entered my brain is because my friend Tom asked me. He's like, not asked me so much as commented. He was like, man, I would love to get into Dragon Ball, but I just don't even know where to start or how to watch it, or is there like a way for me to kind of fast track so I'm kind of current? And I'm like, ooh, that kind of is a good question. Some people can just pick up with Z and be fine with it, but in my opinion, you can't do that. You need to go back to Goku as a kid to really get like the full experience and what Dragon Ball is.
And certainly, at least in early Z, to understand who some of the characters are, like Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha,
Yeah.
Bulma, the importance of Bulma and Krillin.
If you've got no context for that, makes it hard to really appreciate what these characters are when you get to Dragon Ball Z. So
Yeah.
I always try to direct people down that path. So I thought maybe there would be a movie that gave us like an amalgamation of some of the beginning of... Amalgamation is a word I've been using way too much this week. I think that's 4 times throughout this podcast. I'm going to try not to use it again. Anyway,
It's a good word.
A good retelling of some of the initial arcs of Dragon Ball. I thought that maybe one of the Dragon Ball movies would do that, and we picked The Path to Power, or in Japan as it's known, The Path to Ultimate Power. So me and Brandon will be talking about that on the other side. But yeah, me and Jimmy drank like I think 18 beers and a little bottle thing. Yeah, and a little bottle of Tennessee honey in under 3 hours.
Jesus.
Yeah, we had a great time together yesterday. We haven't
He
hung out in a while.
needs some milk.
Yeah, no, we laid it on pretty thick. So here's me and Jimmy talking about the new Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game that we saw some extended gameplay of at E3. Subidope!
Subidope!
Just the Subidope. I didn't say Dragon Ball, but I should have. What's up, Jimmy?
What's up?
Hey, how you doing?
What you doing?
Fucking satisfaction. We are talking bullshit all day, but specifically about a E3 game that was announced yesterday, I think.
Disappointment.
Man, all right. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, DBZ, what was it? Project fucking...
Kakarot.
Yeah. DBZ, Dragon Ball Z, Kakarot. But it was called like Dragon Ball... Project DBZ, I think. Dun, 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 dun. Woo! And then we get some gameplay. And we get an interview. And, I think it's not what we maybe expected.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get there, this is kind of an amalgamation of things. Have you listened to the podcast recently, Jimmy?
No.
Yeah, it happens. So, in case you haven't realized, we just did like 4, I think, podcasts worth of Godzilla stuff in the last 2 weeks, which is really cool. So if you're a carryover from finding us through the Godzilla pods, welcome. We're going to be talking about Dragon Ball stuff specifically today. And I say amalgamation because, well, we will be talking a little bit about Dragon Ball news and specifically this Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game. We will be doing our regular Patreon free. We do a free Patreon episode once a week on Wednesdays. We release either an episode where we talk about the original Dragon Ball series, which we are doing today, episode 17, Milk Delivery, or we talk about My Hero Academia. And we're about 30-ish episodes into that. So because everybody's been so
fucking busy
working, because everybody
working.
Did you hear that goofy laugh at us? So it's been kind of a pain in the, and, you know, your brother Carlton's not working that much. I mean, he's working the normal amount, but
Yeah.
in his off time, and I said it on the Patreon podcast this morning for Death Note, I was like, you know, it's Pride Month. He's in the throes of Pride Month. He is unabashedly, and then I laughed thinking that I used the word unabashedly because that is basically the definition of pride. He's unabashedly celebrating Pride Month right now.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much off limits. The last 3 times I've stopped by to see Mike Norm, 2 of those times he's been napping. You cut all the grass.
Yeah.
Brandon
All the grass.
fights the Revolutionary War 100 times a year. Dan's got a baby on the way. I was supposed to pod with Mike and Alicia this past weekend from Mob Psycho, but they were sick. I just ran down a list of like 7 people, 8 people. Ugh. All right. So, with all that being said, that's why we're taking this opportunity now that Jimmy's here to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Just get 2 birds stoned
at the same
time. This is us trying to get 2 birds stoned at the same time for the OGDB this week and for Super Dope as well. So, Jimmy, did you have any expectations going into this Dragon Ball
No, I didn't know
Project Z or whatever?
shit about the game coming out. And when I first seen it, it looked awesome. It still does look good, but
I mean, it looks very pretty. It looks like a very pretty game. But I think everybody expected it to be
an open world Dragon Ball game.
truly open world. And like when you say something like open world, you kind of have the expectation that you'll be able to build your own character to an extent. So obviously the name of the project was revealed, and it's Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. So you are just playing as Goku
Yeah.
throughout the entirety of this story, it seems, at least at this point. And that's literally what I've done in every fucking Dragon Ball video game since 1992. So I'm not super hyped on that. Take into consideration all the gameplay. So there's a video on YouTube that we watched. I forgot who put it up, and I don't quite give that much of a shit. Although I will say the dude who interviewed him, I'll say he did a great job. He kind of stuck it to him. So it's like 13, 14 minutes long, and there is gameplay throughout. And it gives you that open world feel, and it looks like it'd be fun to zoom and fly through this Mofk. But it's also similar, and the mechanics look similar to how things are in Dragon Ball Xenoverse. So, all right, you're taking that over, and maybe you're going to put it into this MMO. All right. Not an MMO.
Yeah.
You know, it's a one-player game. And then you're like, all right, maybe I can make my own character. Nope, you're just Goku. Oh, well, maybe Goku will have some fun-ass shit to do, and I can build Goku. Because, like, it'll show you these things of, like, oh, look, Goku's off fishing over here, and he puts a fake tail in his underwear.
That looks terrible.
And he catches a big
He's
old
like, I
fish.
found this tail. Let me just jam it into my butt, and then bang, I can fish with it.
Bam, big old fish with his makeshift tail out my butt. And he's, like, flying around, then he finds Android 8. Good old Ader, and it's like, oh my god, Goku as an adult hanging out with Ader. This is the dream. This is the kind of stuff we can expect. And he's like, I have an extra side quest for you, and I'm like, oh fuck, you reek of a master in Xenoverse right now. So I'm not expecting too much, I guess, from this game. It's open world to a point, maybe a little bit more than Xenoverse. It's not an MMO as many of us had hoped for. You can't build your own character, it seems. You're confined
Basically,
pretty
can only
much.
play as Goku.
Basically, only as Goku. So like, looking at it, it's the designers had said basically the storyline that it follows is, in the namesake, it's Kakarot. So it's gonna follow Goku, and because it's called DBZ Kakarot, it's gonna follow Kakarot through the happenings of the Dragon Ball Z manga. And then a couple minutes later, the other fucking game designer dude says gonna follow the anime. So they kind of talked. I don't think that was intentional. Maybe the translator gave the wrong word in the instance. Maybe it was a slip. But I thought it was interesting that both of them referenced the other thing. So if it's manga only, that's a real quick game. I have to believe that it's anime. Anime. Who the fuck am I? Anime. I have to believe it's anime, and that'll allow it for that'll allow it for it to be for it to be. That'll allow for it to be. Is that a real sentence?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. Basically, it would allow them to build out a very dense Dragon Ball world with like lots of different cool little Easter eggs and references
Like
to
you
the
and
show.
Piccolo going to get your driver's license together.
Yeah, that was actually the last question that the interviewer gave them, and the game designers were like, "Ha ha 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 ha, we can't comment." And I'm like,
Yeah.
fine.
Silly
But if
as
that
hell.
surprise isn't there, then we're in a fight, Mr. Man. But why is this game not what we wanted it to be? I was legit. You were here. I watched the footage for the first time. It looks beautiful, but it looks like an amalgamation of past Dragon Ball games, kind of all smashed up into one in terms of like the mechanics and the systems of it,
Yeah.
and it, coated over with some updated graphics.
Japan's never been about giving the people what they want.
No, they're all about the merchandising.
Yeah.
But like, given everything that they're allegedly doing behind the scenes to be able to retool their most precious of franchises by launching the production back in October for this new anime that has not been announced, you'd think that they would put a little bit more. I was hoping that this was going to be like a new, like say it would be like the end of the Xenoverse chapter of online Dragon Ball gaming. And the new one would be this Project Z, now called Kakarot, whatever. And there would be like an online community around that based off of people's own individual players, kind of like in Xenoverse. But maybe you'd have the ability to do a little bit more with them via a story mode. Or maybe you can have some kind of alignment piece play into it with whether they're a good guy or a bad guy, whether they're working with Goku or they're working with Frieza in their side missions, things like that. Like, there are so many different things that you can explore. And, the designers in this interview basically kept hinting, like, lots of Easter eggs, lots of depth. Be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And I'm sure I will. I'm sure I'll still play it. I'll probably buy it. But it's not what we hoped it to be. Unless they do a major about face. And they very well could. They could very easily add a build your own character mode, which they still might. Who knows? It's pretty early in the game. They're saying early 2020. So let's say early 2020 is anytime from April before 2020. So I don't know, anywhere in the next 6 to 10 months we could get that game. It might be a little late for them to build their own character. I don't know how gaming works. So we shall see. But I don't know. That gameplay and explanation and the talk with the designers of the game does not have me hopeful for Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Woof.
Yeah.
Woof it!
It's still going to be fun.
I'll play it, but
Yeah. You'll buy it.
yeah.
He'll even pay.
All right, so now that you've heard some stuff on
Office
E3,
dream sequence.
yeah, the Office Dream sequence. Now that you've heard stuff on the Office Dream sequence and my feelings on the last episodes, the last season specifically of The Office on the Patreon cut, Brandon,
Yeah.
you know that they announced that there's a new Dragon Ball Super movie in production. Did you know that?
There is a new Dragon Ball Super movie in production.
So
Confirmed. That's if I go to look on my my photos, the last Dragon Ball photo that I scanned, or whatever they call it. Super, new movie confirmed. Ayuko Iuko, probably screwed that up, head of the Department of Dragon Ball Room, and Hayashida Noriho, producer of Dragon Ball Super Broly, confirmed through an interview contained in the special bonus of Dragon Ball Super Broly Blu-ray box the planning of an upcoming Dragon Ball movie. So far, there are no more details about this. Now, I got this a few days ago. I got it last Thursday on the Dragon Ball Super official Instagram page.
Okay.
Now, before we started the podcast, you said that despite it saying no more details at this time, you had heard a detail, not so much about the premise, but just the path they were gonna, I guess, take for this. And that was
and this is why I wanted to cover it quickly with you, because I feel like it might have gotten lost in the shuffle. I know that people who listen to our Dragon Ball episodes, they don't listen to all of the other shit that we do. So like when we break off,
lame.
and when we break off and do Godzilla for a couple weeks, and we break off and do a movie, like a good portion of them listen, but way more people listen when it's Dragon Ball specific.
Yeah,
All right?
yeah.
So I'll say it like that. But in the Godzilla King of the Monsters podcast that we did, I was late publishing it. I wanted to publish it Tuesday. It went up Tuesday afternoon, but Tuesday morning this news came out, and I was like, oh, good thing I was lazy, because let me do 10 minutes on it.
Yeah.
And I break down all the quotes and all that stuff. And in one of the quotes that I'd read, they basically make the illusion of the fact that like they really ratcheted shit up and made Broly super strong, and it really went all out in the last movie. And it's just so over the top that for this next movie, how do they top it? You know, how do we top it? We don't. I feel like they kind of make the they kind of give us hints that maybe they're dialing it back a little bit for the next movie. Maybe it's going to be less of a, oh my God, super powerful warriors here to fucking kill us, and maybe dial it back to something a little bit more like slice of life-ish, but it's got to be some kind of fucking character that hopefully will add to Dragon Ball Super's roster of characters going forward, making these stories, but it's got to be something that can be resolved fairly easily and can help us move the story forward, I fucking hope, out of this continuously static period between the Buu arc, the end of the Buu arc and the end of Dragon Ball Z. So it got me to thinking, what could it be about?
Yeah.
Do you have anything in particular? Because I have a whole thing I could go off on right now, but do you have anything in particular that you would like to see in this movie, with the understanding that hopefully it'll be more slice of life-ish?
A random thought as you were discussing that just now was, I wonder if it would be about Dragon Balls.
What?
If it would be about Dragon Balls.
A Dragon Ball movie about Dragon Balls? What are you on, drugs?
Right? Because if we think about it, and I'm probably, wrong. Chronologically, when was the last time Dragon Balls were involved in the series? It would be probably Resurrection F, and then the corresponding episodes of Super.
Dragon Ball Super Broly. I mean, they get the Dragon Balls out to make fucking silly ass wishes, but in the end of the movie, they transport Broly back to planet Vampa and call it a day.
Is that what they use the Dragon? No, they bring him back.
Chilai uses the Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Super Broly at the end of the movie, because Gogeta's about to kill his ass.
Okay.
And they transport him back to planet Vampa, and that way he can go live there peacefully or whatever.
That's right, his girlfriend.
So Dragon Balls the Dragon Balls are basically a plot point within any Dragon Ball story, like
True.
a Dragon Ball meaning the greater series.
True.
The Dragon Balls are a plot device that can be placed in wherever. Sometimes it plays into the plot of the actual movie. Sometimes it's how the plot of the movie actually wraps up.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, what I just described to you, moving Broly back to planet Vampa, is kind of how the Path to Power. That's how they utilize the Dragon Balls at the end of the movie. Like it's a plot device to kind of like drive the story forward and meeting Goku and Bulma, but whatever. We'll get there.
I think that was a dark period of that movie that I forgot about because I watched the Hoopty version.
The Hoopty version. Oh, that's right. You didn't see it in theaters?
No.
Not at all?
No.
You've never watched it?
I mean, I saw on the screen. Yeah, I've got to watch it.
You've only watched the version out of that Japanese man's front pocket?
Oh, the terrible Japanese ASMR. I don't want to remember it.
Oh my God. I'm so upset with you. I almost
Oh
just
my
called you
God.
Carlton.
Oh my God.
What the fuck, Brandon? You're on a Dragon Ball podcast.
It's been a long time.
Some would argue that you're the number 2 on this shit.
I am the number 2. I guess that's better than being random task.
Whatever, dude. I can't believe you never watched it. I'm kind of disappointed in you. Anyway. Oh, Jesus. You just fucked my whole thing up. Oh.
I rocked your world.
When I feel like I can't even ask you about the next Dragon Ball movie, seeing as you haven't really seen the fucking last Dragon Ball movie.
I've seen enough of it. I saw it. I heard the whispers.
I hate you. All right, what would you like to see in this upcoming Dragon Ball movie, with the understanding that the stakes are going to be dialed down, probably, hopefully?
All right. So, if you want a slice of life theory, Vegeta and crew go to planet Sadat. That would be something that we've discussed.
It is Sadala, so fucking stop
Sadala.
calling it Sadat.
Sorry.
It's like salad, but it's not.
Sorry.
It's like salada, but Sadala.
Sadala. So that's something that we had discussed numerous times during the series when it was starting to wrap up and how we wanted.
Yeah, that's
That
the great cock tease of that series. That actually
Yeah.
would be a good slice of life scenario.
I think in if they want to tone it down and have a more serious, they could go into that and kind of that could be a good lead up to where we're going next. Maybe they find out some new Super Saiyan powers, they find a new bad guy, I don't know. But
Something.
that could be a good adventure and serious story as opposed to just another we gotta go fight this bad guy
Yeah,
randomly.
and that would be a nice change of pace for them too, to get
Yeah.
out of their own galaxy for an actual canon adventure.
Because if you think about the Broly movie, there's story behind it with Frieza and the history of Broly and stuff, but like it's quickly just get to the fights.
Yeah,
You know.
so much of what Broly. All right, so I work at this comic store. We got movies on all the time. Usually it's like cartoons.
Yeah.
We watch a lot of like Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
we watch The Simpsons a lot.
Yeah.
Animaniacs. We watched all of the Ghostbusters movies the other day.
Ooh.
So we were at work and I was there. My manager was like, "Oh, I think he did it because he knows that I'm a fucking like Dragon Ball's the only thing that I know working there."
Nice.
But he put on Super Broly, so I got paid this, and it was so dead. So like I actually got to watch it.
Is the Blu-ray out?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah, it's been out for a bit.
Okay.
And the announcement of this new Dragon Ball Super movie
These are the
being in
special
production,
features, yeah.
it's in the special features or the Blu-ray booklet. rather.
Oh,
Of-
that's why I was
Of the Japan release Blu-ray.
Okay.
The Japan release Blu-ray was the last one to come out, I guess.
weird.
Given, well, with the understanding that it was late to go to country, I think India was the last country to get it, which is ridiculous because it's the country with the biggest fucking, like the largest amount of people in the world, probably the most number of Dragon Ball fans in the world if you work it out. And they were the last country to get the movie.
Get it.
Whatever, I digress. The reason I bring all of this up is having get to watch it just a couple weeks back, it truly is just, especially the first 25 minutes, it's a weak attempt to try to wrap everybody's fates up together. And by everybody, I mean Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and Frieza, and do a fucking soft retelling and
Of Bardock.
of Bardock, and making the Dragon Ball Minus manga become canon. If you understand that literally all they did to quote unquote tie these things together was to show them to us quickly, not really give us much in the way of like further exposition or even dialogue between the characters to like really tie it in. It's like all of these things happen around the same time.
Yeah.
None of them are actually really tied to one another
Yeah.
outside of Frieza ultimately killing all the Saiyans. That's
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
thing that ties all of this together. I don't know. This movie is great. It's a beautiful movie, but it is, from a storytelling perspective, the first 20 minutes may as well. It's cool to see, but it may as well not exist.
It's nothing new.
Give me 20 minutes more with Broly because I like the direction they started to go with Broly in this movie a lot, and I I'm a famous Broly hater, so
being like an anti-hero.
yeah, anti-hero is probably a nice way to put
He's
it
kind of
for
like
now.
a Venom now.
Yeah, he could. I mean, I like to think that he could. I like to think Venom has got kind of like his mind made up most of the time in terms of like the moral compass, his own convictions, what he stands for, what he will and won't do. Broly is still trying to figure that out. He's still a little morally ambiguous, I guess. Like he's not really sure which way he could go. And Frieza's already made an attempt to try to influence it, and Goku could now try to make that same attempt. Hopefully in this next movie. Probably not though. I hope they actually stay away from Broly altogether in this next movie.
Yeah.
If they did that, I'd be happy. Now, you said the Planet Sabala thing. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
I'd be okay if we don't, though. Only if we get this scenario. I think it's time, everybody. I'm going to fucking start a petition for them to rewrite the last season of Game of Thrones
Oh, Jesus.
and get Robert Pattinson to not be Batman.
Dude, everybody makes a friggin' petition now.
And,
It's just, it drives me nuts.
You got any other fun? Oh, to refilm the ending of Godzilla King of the Monsters so that way Mothra and Godzilla fuck in the end credits.
A petition to redo Last Jedi. Like, stop.
Yeah. So I'm a petition.
Okay.
Toei, Akira Toriyama, Bird Studios, Shueisha, Bandai Namco, all the people who've got a vested interest in making money off Dragon Ball. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a suggestion that, while maybe, it may be a little inconvenient in the short run, and the long run, it'll help you significantly. Okay.
Okay.
Here's what I propose.
This is a build-up.
It's time.
Okay.
Do you know what it's time for, Brandon? Do you believe?
A Gotenk standalone
Do
movie?
you believe?
Do you believe in society's lies?
Do you believe that it's time to move past this static period in the Dragon Ball timeline that exists between the end of the Majin Buu saga and the end of Dragon Ball Z? The reason I ask this is because on the way to the Tournament of Power, Goku's recruiting people. Kaioshin says, hey, there's this dude in the village. He's pretty strong. Goku's like, oh, strong enough to help us? He's like, nah, but like maybe keep him on your radar. So we know that Oob exists
Yeah.
in this world already.
Yeah.
Let's get a movie where we finally meet Oob and reach the end of Dragon Ball Z. I want this next movie. If I could write it myself, dude,
Yeah.
I would have the next movie be a retelling of the end of Dragon Ball Z.
Do we have a confirmation or denial that Oob is still canon?
He is.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's canon in the sense that they've referenced him here in Dragon Ball Super. So canon's kind of a
did. Okay.
yeah. So that's what I just said. Kyle Shin references him to Goku when Goku's recruiting for the Tournament of Power. Hey, there's some kid in a fucking village.
Oh, in the Tournament of Power.
Did
Never
you
mind.
like blank out all the things that I said?
No.
Were you confusing it for a Tenkaichi Budokai?
There you go.
Got it.
Yeah.
So he is referenced in Super. So the whole canon non-canon thing is kind of a tricky thing right now. The manga is now officially ahead. I think it's going to be that when the Super anime comes back or the movies stories come back, whatever, they will follow the stories in the manga.
There's that new Bothan looking dude.
Moro.
Yeah.
Planet Moro. Yeah, that's a whole interesting story, and I haven't talked about it here. I've been following the beats of it, reading fucking panels. I read every chapter, but I don't do any fucking. And you know why? And it's the same reason I won't read the manga for My Hero Academia, even though I desperately want to see that story move forward.
What's that?
With Dragon Ball, I feel like I have to know.
Okay.
With My Hero Academia, I'm like, if I read the manga now and I see the story come back on, in the anime in October,
You're going to be bored with it?
I'll be bored with it. I'll feel like it's dragging.
Dragging, yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the early episodes of Super, where they just rehashed the two movies.
Exactly. And we're all just sitting around fucking twiddling our thumbs to poor animation and the stories we've seen before.
It was cool to see Dragon Ball back on TV, but at the same time, it was like, I know this. And then as something we'll talk about with the movie, when it starts differing from what you know from the movies, you kind of get like, wait, what's going on here? Come on.
Yeah. No, it's like, why do they make these changes?
Because they're, especially now with Broly, they're toying with movies being canon, non-canon, canon.
You know what? I didn't plan to bring this up, but I've referenced him before. He's a YouTuber on I almost said a YouTuber on YouTube.
Super Saiyan Chris
No.
working out.
Who's Super Saiyan Chris?
Isn't he the guy on Twitter who works out?
You talking about Broku?
No, there's another one. It's like Super Saiyan Chris, I think.
I don't know. Broku listens to the show sometimes, or at least he used to. I don't think he likes me anymore. But whatever. That's not why I'm talking about this. So I was on YouTube the other day, fucking cesspool of a place. But every once in a while, you come across a content creator who creates some quality content. And Totally Not Mark is somebody that I've referenced on the show before. He makes he does a lot of Dragon Ball stuff. Not exclusive, but he does a lot of quality good Dragon Ball stuff. Just digging into like the arcs. Mostly it's character driven stuff that he does.
I was going to say, is he the one who like dives into like the character creation of Cell and like...
Oh, you're thinking of my boy Lance, Mystery Fusion. Yeah. I don't think he likes us anymore either, but it's fine. Here's the thing. I talk to these people and they're like, yo, this Kyle guy seems real nice. And they listen to the show and they're like, this Kyle guy's a fucking dick face. So, you know, it's like a double-edged sword reaching out to people that you like, because as nice as I am in an email, they then listen to me on a microphone and they're like, this guy's a fucking
Hello.
chud. He's that guy with the neck beard. He's that guy with the neck beard. Do I have a neck beard?
You don't have a neck beard.
Nope, I shaved today.
That's good.
Anyway,
I need to shave tomorrow.
Totally Not Mark did this cool arc about how the Planet Eater moral arc is one of the best arcs that Dragon Ball Super has seen to this point. And
Shit.
I thought that it was going to be why it's such a good arc.
Yeah.
I watched a movie or a video. It's like maybe 10 minutes long. It's super interesting. You should go check it out.
Yeah. 'Cause I haven't read the Moro arc yet, so I should.
It gives you like some pieces. It doesn't like explicitly give you the plot beat by beat, but it gives you the major, this happens, this happens, this happens. But it switches halfway through and he's like, now why does everybody like this one so much? And it's like, did Toyotaro figure out how to make manga? Nope. Did Toyotaro's arc get better? Nope. Did his scripting get better? Nope. Is this arc being published in the manga before the anime? And then he delves into this study where it's like two different photos. Some of them are like flipped mirror image style, but like people's reactions are, you know, the one on the left is the first one they look at. So they think in their brain that one is the original.
Okay.
Regardless of it, whether it being the mirror image or not. It's really interesting the way that he breaks it down. But basically the point of it is, because we've seen the moral arc in manga first, not in anime, we like the manga now because we saw all the anime first and then they adapted it to manga. We fucking hate the manga. It's a really interesting breakdown of that whole idea. And
we hate the manga
to the theory.
because generally we see the show before we read the manga.
Well, the show in this case was made before the manga was, and that is the first time that's ever happened in Dragon Ball history.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball's television show has always had a comic book to go off of.
Yeah.
So when the comic book started adapting the TV show instead of vice versa, as it's traditionally been, everyone's like, yo, fuck this comic book. They're fucking up my favorite TV show.
And that's what, especially in the Tournament of Power, people are like, oh, Gohan's in a different outfit.
But the general point of it is the one that you see first resonates with you the most.
That's the one,
the one that you quote or like identify as the original true one.
Like watching
regardless
the
of
movies.
The term canon being thrown around at all.
Yeah.
Which is what got us here.
So since we got those two movies before we got Super, we're annoyed not only because Super's rehashing the two movies, but it's also just kind of, changed a little bit here and there. Enough to be annoying.
But the changes from the movies to Super as a series are just so minuscule.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay.
The changes from the manga, from the anime to the manga are significant at points, but the biggest difference of it is probably the pacing, in my opinion.
Okay.
Either way, I would like to see this next Dragon Ball Z, Super movie, rather, move out of this fucking period of we live in this eternal 10 years, even though they've already burned 3 or 4 out of those 7 years in Super. Or 10 years, rather. So they've got 7 years left. Like, just move it along, get to the tournament, let Goten and Trunks be, not adults, but teenagers.
Teenagers, yeah.
Let Pan be 4 years old. Like, that's the other thing.
Gohan or Goten and Trunks are still like the same age.
Yeah. They're supposed to be like 12, 13 years old. Trunks right now in Dragon Ball Super is the same age that he is in the Future Trunks television special. And he is very evidently a preteen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Not permanently fucking 8. Let this next Dragon Ball Super movie allow us to move out of it. Do it. Do a fucking... When was the last time we got a tournament movie in Dragon Ball Z? All right? Bio Broly is, I think, is technically a tournament. I think that might start as a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like that's not a Tenkaichi Budokai.
Like Trunks in it.
No, you're thinking of BoJack.
Oh, BoJack.
Yeah, which that's not a Tenkaichi Budokai either. But it, I mean, the tournament format for a movie can work. But if you utilize a tournament and like try to make it more, like we said, slice of life. Less high stakes, less we're going to accidentally destroy the planet because we awakened some dude who lived in a cave eating fucking vampire spiders. You know what I'm saying?
I think that you hit a major button. The last 3 Dragon Ball Super movies, at least the first 2, and to a lesser extent Broly, but still important, they're all these high stakes. It's the end of the world, you know. Beerus comes to destroy the Saiyan and destroy the world. Frieza comes back and actually does destroy the world. You know, then the Broly movie, he could come and destroy the world.
Yeah, and this one is just going to be like, yo, we chilling to the next episode.
It should be like a filler movie.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with a filler movie.
But let the filler movie, ironically, move the plot along.
Or even if we get lucky, lead us into the next series.
Like, if they made a movie out of an entire day of what the Tenkaichi Budokai looks like, the one in which Goku and Oob meet each other, and the movie concludes with the Goku Oob fight.
Yeah.
Like, you could realistically...
and there doesn't have to be stakes involved. It can just be a fight. Like,
yeah, and I was just saying to myself, like, you could realistically craft a narrative and make Oob a villain, quote unquote, for that movie. For the 60 minutes leading up to the fight with Goku, and be like, all right, cool. Oob's kind of like a socially awkward weirdo who came across as a rude, primitive, for lack of a better word, asshole to all of the Z fighters throughout several scenes in this movie. And now him and Goku are going to fight in the fucking tournament conclusion. And then the end of the tournament's Goku and him coming to withdraw and being like, oh, you want to go train?
Yeah.
Fucking work this out somewhere else. And then we know in Dragon Ball Super, when it picks up again, whether it be manga, another movie, the anime coming back in 2020, like you've been calling since the fucking before the show ended.
Yeah.
We know that Oob is going to be a character. And that finally moves us towards a new direction in storytelling for this fucking show. Oh my God, I want it to be a Tenkaichi Budokai movie so bad.
All right. I dig it.
All right. Brings me back to the beginning. My friend Tom says, I'd like to watch Dragon... That's not what Tom sounds like.
I like to watch Dragon Ball.
That's not what he sounds like either. It's more like, yeah, I'd like to watch Dragon Ball. I guess his voice just sounds like my voice, except like with a little bit more energy. Tom is a master of Disney and chicken wings. Also, he works at the comic book store with me. But whatever. Tom's like, I would watch Dragon Ball, but it's just so much. I don't know where to start. I'm like, And I tried to make a recommendation on the fly. And I went home and I thought more about it. And I was like, what would be a good one? So I started reading through.
So we became guinea pigs.
Yeah, we're guinea pigging ourselves. Guinea pigging ourselves.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I thought The Path to Power would be maybe a perfect introduction, a quick way to give you an introduction to the first 50, 60 episodes of Dragon Ball. Because I'm of the opinion that you shouldn't start with Dragon Ball Z. You should start with Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what The Path to Power is, it's kind of a special movie in Dragon Ball history.
Special is a strong word.
Well, I don't mean it special from like a curriculum perspective. I mean it more so in the sense that this movie came out. It's a retelling of, say, the first 50-ish episodes of Dragon Ball, but there is a healthy portion cut out. There's no Krillin, perhaps. There's no Emperor Pilaf, things like that.
There's no Ox King, no Chi-Chi.
Yeah, there's no Ox King, no Chi-Chi. Things that are integral to the very fabric of Dragon Ball Z to this day.
Yeah.
Krillin, Chi-Chi, Ox King, and the first journey for the Dragon Balls isn't really in there, but it is, but it isn't, but it's not. So I thought that maybe this movie would be a good way to kind of fast track somebody in. But here's the thing. I've never watched this movie.
Yep.
This is one of the only Dragon Ball movies. I don't think I've watched the third Dragon Ball, Princess Sleeping Dragon, whatever the fuck. I've watched the first two Dragon Ball movies, but not that one. Anyway, I thought this would be a good opportunity to fast track through the first 50, 60 episodes, give it to Tom and be like, yo, Tom, check this shit out. You'll learn. You're going to learn today. And then we watched it, and this movie was produced and it was released in 96. All right, March of 96.
Oh, I thought you said 97.
Did I say 97? I'm pretty sure I said 96. But you know what? Let me double check here because I do have my things available to me. Yeah, March 4th, 1996.
Okay.
So, want to know what started in February of 1996?
Batman, the animated series?
Nope, that started in 1994, I think.
Ooh, all right.
Ba, 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 ba. No, in February of 1996, Dragon Ball GT started airing on TV in Japan.
Oh, just making sure.
Yeah. So Dragon Ball GT started airing in February, and then in March of the same year, they do a retelling of the first, like I said, 50-ish episodes of Dragon Ball in this movie format.
On a bullet train.
Yeah, super breakneck pace. And at the very least, like I'm trying to think of it from the perspective of I'm a new Dragon Ball fan in 96, 97, 95, 96, 97. I see things coming out for Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah.
And then I see that there's a movie coming out with Goku. Basically, the design for this movie for Goku is Dragon Ball GT Goku after he gets wished back to a kid.
So if you're brand new to Dragon Ball and the first thing you watch is GT, it's going to be a character you recognize. It's not in his orange gi.
Not even if that's the first thing you watch, but like, so when Goku is first introduced, he's got blue pants, blue gi. Like, that's his appearance until he gets the orange dogi from Kami Sennin. So
yeah.
In this movie, he's got the blue top,
The light blue top.
and the
Light blue
gold
top.
pants.
Yeah.
Gold pants is a Dragon Ball GT thing.
And the light blue top, too.
Yeah, because the blue top in Dragon Ball
Only thing I think that's
is really
different.
dark.
Yeah. The only thing I think that's different is in what GT he wears a white belt.
Maybe.
And then-
I'm not sure.
And then I think in this one it was kind of like reddish brown.
So the other notable thing here is Bulma has purple hair.
Yeah.
That's
Very
a notable.
Trunks like.
Yeah, it's Trunks' hair. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that this is the only time animated Dragon Ball has a Bulma with purple hair as opposed to that teal blue hair.
Yeah.
So that's notable. Now, those two things aside, being maybe confusing for somebody who hasn't watched Dragon Ball for the last 25 years of their life, this movie is beautiful. Holy shit. Now, I know in saying that it's beautiful that I'm biased. Biased in that 2013 Dragon Ball comes around for Kami to Kami. The animation techniques are updated. They're different. There's a lot more like
Yeah.
computer-based CGI shit, and just the character designs in general are a lot more, as us in the fandom call it, like the shiny
It's a lot
Dragon
crisper.
Ball, shiny. Yeah, some say crisper, some say shinier and more
Yeah.
plastic looking. But in this movie, it's basically the same animation style that they use in GT. So like the plastic shininess starts to come through
Yeah.
in certain shots here. Like when Goku is asleep in his fucking little house thing and the sun comes up and there's like a reflection off his face. Like I'm like, oh, there's that plastic shiny coming through. But Goku also is like considerably more tan than he is, say, in Dragon Ball Super. His skin palette is
Yeah.
a few shades darker.
I
It's
think the
remarkable.
MVP of crispness for this is Yamcha. He has no scars.
No scars on Yamcha.
Couple scenes.
He looks amazing. And
I
like you said
commented-
when we were watching,
Yeah.
his face looks almost like Vegeta.
Yeah.
It's Vegeta
Yeah.
face. And in 1997, they were like, "Yo, we're making a Dragon Ball movie without Vegeta. This is whack. What do we do?
He-
Make Vegeta Yamcha for a minute."
In several of the serious Yamcha scenes, he looks a lot less doofier than in the original series.
He does, and I think a lot of that just comes down to the animation style in general. But
Yeah.
I said it to you throughout the movie. I was like, "Give me the fucking Yamcha shot while he's missing a tooth," and they don't give it to me until like the very, very end. But
Yeah.
there are so many Yamcha missing a tooth shots throughout early Dragon Ball. It's like a running gag. So like
yeah.
this movie is fun in that they give you callbacks to that kind of stuff. Like they know that a nerd like me is watching it, wanting to see a fucking toothless Yamcha shot, and they totally did it again.
It's weird too, because to me that movie started towards the end to feel long, but at the same time the story is at like a train wreck fast pace.
Yeah.
Like throughout the entire movie, we kept going. What about this? What
Goku
about
and Bulma meet.
Yeah,
They learn what Dragon Balls are. That happens in the first 5
like
minutes.
5 minutes.
Then they're in the fours. They meet Oolong. That takes another 2 minutes.
Now-
Oolong very easily and pretty much willingly becomes their slave, their captive. Or
Now,
whatever.
before we get to that, plot hole number 1, we find out that Goku has a tail, and it's never really mentioned again.
Yep.
The entire movie.
Never.
Now, getting to the Oolong series, to really speed things up, Oolong, Yamcha, and Puar are all introduced at the same
At the
time.
same time. Yeah.
Like, bam, bam, bam.
Yeah.
Right there.
Which makes sense because Oolong and Puar's backstories tie together. But
Yeah.
they do
and they
meet very
mention that.
separately. I like that they do the actual villains or monsters that Oolong transforms into in the anime. But in the anime, Oolong or manga too. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about, in my brain, we just did these recently on the OGDB, but Oolong like captures children, girls, and then brings them back to his house to presumably like make them sex slaves. But when they get there, they just completely take advantage of a nice little pig and turn him into their slave. So
Yeah.
he's got like 30 chicks back at his house that he just waits on hand and foot. And then he's like, the next time I go out and capture a girl, that's going to be the one for me. And then she just turns up being a bitch on Bitch Island too. You know what I'm saying?
Next introduction.
Yep.
By time we meet Oolong, Puar, and Yamcha, we find that this movie is already as dirty, if not dirtier, than the anime.
Dude.
So many like already underwear shots of
They
Bulma.
have some very focused
Yeah.
shot. Like I have a pretty good proximity assessment on the walls of Bulma's vagina after this movie. I can't. We lost count probably around 8.
Yeah.
Like legit, we stopped
Yeah.
counting because it was like, wow, they just keep doing it. There are so many inappropriate panty shots in this movie, and I say inappropriate in that. Oh
it's,
yeah,
It's like there's too many.
it's understood that they do them in Dragon Ball, and it's just part of the fucking series. But there is so
But, like,
fucking many in this movie.
With the Dragon Ball series, they happen enough, especially in tandem with Master Roshi's, being a pervert, that they're kind of funny. Like, aha, there's the dirty joke. This, it was like, again and again and again. And it's like, Jesus, how many can you fit in an hour and a half?
For real. But they're only going to fit in more once they have to bring a turtle back in a motherfucking van
Yeah.
back to the ocean. All right? This really bothered me. I think this was probably my biggest gripe with this movie.
Ooh.
They meet Umagami, a.k.a. Sea Turtle, for you all Americans. And he's like, hey, what's up, Turtle? He's like, I've been lost in this fucking mountain looking for mushrooms for a year.
Yeah. He was
So I can
looking for
only get
fungus.
back to the ocean. And Goku's like, yo, we'll give you a ride. And they give him a ride. It really goes that Goku fucking puffs that big old 350-pound fucking sea turtle on his back and runs that motherfucker back to the ocean on foot.
Yeah.
Way to fucking belittle Goku's accomplishments. I do like that we got Hachan, or as the Americans
Yeah.
call him, Aider. I'll just call you Aider. Yeah. Hachigo.
So there are many, many episodes of Dragon Ball that I've missed.
Because you whack as fuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he was a character that I was familiar with in at least various photos and like various displays.
Yeah,
So
he's
it
a
was
Frankenstein android.
yeah.
How could you not be?
So that was cool to see him for the first time, and but yeah, like we said, by this time, very quickly we'll be introduced to Master Roshi and Hachan.
Hachan.
The Kamehameha wave will be learned not trying to help the Ox King, but rather defeat the Red Ribbon Army's navy.
So Umagami comes back to the shore with Roshi on his back. He's like, hey, what's up? I can't bring you an Immortal Phoenix, which is literally the same gag, almost line for line from
Died of
the
food
original
poisoning.
food poisoning. Gives him the Kinto Un instead. And then this fucking armada shows up to steal the Dragon Balls and kill a little kid, Goku, and his fucking chick friend, Bulma. And Roshi uses the Kamehameha to blow them all away. And then Goku's like, oh, that was cool, and learns it and does like a Dragon Ball Z level Kamehameha
massive.
immediately fucking afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, this movie, in a sentence, I would say is it's a retelling of Dragon Ball's original story, but done by Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, so much to the point that this movie even ends with Dan Dan Kokoro by Field of View.
Goku essentially going Super Saiyan 1 to 2 with
Yeah.
electricity around him in all but hair color only.
Yeah, they never say the word Saiyan at any point during this
That's-
series,
yeah,
but
yeah.
goddamn did they want to. God damn did they want to.
Yeah, they don't really explain.
Goku does and powers up things in this movie that he barely does in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. Just as a small little child who's yet to train with Master Roshi.
Yeah.
He just met Master Roshi. So, like,
And
this...
he's already a master of his bow and his, fighting and
Who, by the way, Master Roshi,
yeah.
I knew that something was off.
Yeah.
I immediately, I said to
Yes.
you,
Yeah, you were not a happy camper about Master Roshi arriving and saying the first lines.
why though?
Because it was not the same voice actor.
You're right. Immediately, I said to myself, that's not fucking Master Roshi. That dude's voice is way too high pitched. Unless he's doing an on purpose fucking reverse agent thing.
And I said, well, maybe it's somebody else.
And I said, that would be blasphemy.
And
then,
it was.
And then you said, well, why don't you look it up on the internet? And I was like, well, I don't know about that. So I did. You know what I fucking found out? This guy, Kinya Aikawa, okay? He's basically a one-off Master Roshi.
Which is just weird.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
was the original Master Roshi, off that day?
the original Master Roshi passed away in 1995.
Okay.
This movie being made and released in
96.
96, it makes sense that they had a replacement for him.
Okay.
However, there was another guy who was voicing Master Roshi between 95 and 97.
Okay.
The dude who took over for Roshi in GT, who is so good, I didn't even notice that there was a change.
There was a change.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to 95 to 97 was Hiroshi Masuoka. Okay. Kinya Aikawa played him one time in 96. And Masahiro Sato did him once in 95 and has been him since 2009 to present.
Okay.
So current Master Roshi and old Master Roshi are not the same Master Roshi. And this Master Roshi in this movie is just a
different from
one-off
all of
random
them.
Master Roshi from all that shit.
Yeah.
How confusing is that
So
for my
technically, there's
ears?
been 3 different Master Roshis.
Yes. Kohei Mayauchi. Kohei Mayauchi. He was the original Master Roshi. On June 2nd, oh, that's so recent. On June 2nd, 1995, Mayauchi died on his hospital bed at the Nihao University Itabashi Hospital from abdominal varices.
Jesus, that was a bit intense.
I don't know what abdominal varices are. Do you?
Abdominal varices?
Yep. Oh, did I say abdominal?
Yeah.
Yeah, abdominal.
Abdominal varices. Sounds like varicose veins. I don't know.
In his belly, though.
Kinky.
And then Hiroshi Masuoka took over. He's a Japanese, let's see. He voiced Kami-Sen during the last episode of Dragon Ball Z and all of GT following Kohei Mayauchi's death. Whatever. My only other real problem with this movie outside of the Roshi change, because the rest of it's just like, all right, we've already pitched most of the original story and what makes it important to these characters to the wayside in favor of trying to compress as much of the story as we can into this.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the first 50 episodes of Dragon Ball, right? But take out the first 13 because they don't go search for that initial Dragon Ball thing against Pilaf, all right? So first 50-ish, take out 13, that's 40. Take out the training with Roshi, that's probably another 15,
6
20.
episodes.
Take out the Tenkaichi Budokai. Take out
Who fights in the first one? Is it Yamcha versus Goku?
Yamcha versus Jackie Chan.
That's right. Who's Roshi in disguise?
Yeah, and then Roshi's like, yo, keep training. You can't use Kinto when to go around the world. And then he goes around the world, and that's when the Red Ribbon Army happens.
Yeah.
So it cuts out
And then it just the
a
whole
bunch
grade
of
8.
shit in the middle.
whole
Yeah, the
grade 8
Azoru,
too.
the Azora, Azoru. It's a word I can't say. People leave me alone.
Uzaru, right?
I guess my mouth can't say that. Anyway, it cuts out all of that. Doesn't even make mention of the transformation at all.
I mean, I get the fact that we don't understand what a Saiyan is until Raditz.
But man, do they want us to know?
But
Lightning and all.
yeah.
Also, there was a good shot. Not a good shot, but there was a good amount of shots. It's probably the better. There was a good amount of shots at Goku's dick in this movie as
Yeah.
he's like using the Saiyan tail to go fishing. Like,
And that happens in the original too.
it does, but man, was that dick shot pronounced.
Yeah.
The only other big gripe outside of how much story they condensed,
All right.
and you don't know this, but
Okay.
I'm about to blow it up for you.
Go for it. Oh,
Staff Sergeant Black.
that's right.
Do you know what Staff Sergeant Black looks like?
Let's see.
Staff officer. I
Because
should
he
say,
looked
staff
very.
officer.
He looked
In this movie,
slightly tan.
he's got a very pronounced jawline. He's got a weird little thin pencil
I'm
mustache.
almost afraid now.
Huge
I have a.
forehead. I'd challenge to call it a 5 or a 6 head.
I have a feeling I know what's coming. But
So here's what he looks like
yep.
in the movie.
Yep.
Okay. Do you know what he originally looked like?
I have a feeling it's something along the lines of Coon Chicken.
So this is the same dude who basically overthrows General Commander. It's Commander Red.
Commander Red
Overthrows Commander Red at the end and takes over the big old red mech assault robot that Goku blows up at the end.
tries to change it to the Black Ribbon Army.
Yeah, and he's a black dude, so him being Staff Officer Black or whatever the fuck, he's obviously got to be a black guy. When we started this movie, I was like,
Yeah, you were
Did they
you were
make-
upset about
did
this.
they make him Asian-ish?
Yeah.
And here's why I asked that, because this character back in the day when he was a man named Black who was evidently black looked a lot more black. Back in the day. Are you ready to see this?
Let's see it. I knew it. I knew it. Yep. He looks like something right out of Coon's Chicken.
Got those popo lips and a gun in his hand. I mean, granted, it looks like a ray gun. Nope, that's a regular gun. Never mind. Gets more racist the more I look at it. Pinstripe
Right.
pants, though. It looks sharp.
Hold on. I'll show you what the inspiration is.
What, some fucking blackface 1930s watermelon looking shit?
Essentially,
seen those.
it's a restaurant from down south.
Oh, I've 100% seen the photo that you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking. Oh no, that is not the photo I thought it would be. But yeah, same kind of thing. Those big, overly pronounced red lips.
It's black. It's like essentially what blackface is. Yeah.
So it's weird, I guess, that they made the change because, like we said, the animation in this movie, it's Dragon Ball story with Dragon Ball GT animation. So they could have figured out they should have figured out something better to do with that character design, but they gave us this super light-skinned, borderline Asian and or Italian-looking
A
man.
little less racist. Yeah.
But don't change the character so much that me, a lifelong Dragon Ball fan, is like, wait a minute, where's Officer Black at?
Yeah.
Wait, this is Officer Black? What's happening? And bear in mind, this is a movie that, till today, this is one of the few Dragon. I think like I said, I think
This is
there's
like
maybe
a golden nugget.
there's
yeah.
less than 5 Dragon Ball movies that I haven't watched,
Yeah.
and this is one of them. Okay. However, weirdly, and I did not know this until we started watching the movie,
Sure.
I owned the soundtrack for this
Yeah.
movie.
You were really excited about that.
I knew.
You knew all the tunes. You were humming along,
I
singing
didn't
along.
want to know all of the music, but I just did. And
That's weird. That would be like me memorizing the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack and not actually see it.
yeah, but only The Empire
Oh, I
Strikes
bet
Back.
this is what happens
Fuck A
in this
New
scene.
Hope. Fuck A Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Jedi.
The Jedi.
So the soundtrack was composed by Akihito Tokunaga, who also composed the music for Dragon Ball GT. So again, it's a Dragon Ball story as done by GT. Also, the ending theme and the opening theme for Dragon Ball GT, Dantan Kokoro Hikaru Tak. Fuck, I can't say that last one. So this music done by GT guy. And I actually think Dragon Ball GT, even though it's probably my least favorite series of the four, it hands down has the best music of the fucking series.
Yeah.
And a lot of the music is just the fucking orchestrations of the header opening and closing themes. I get it. But I think the background OST for that music, for that series rather, is the best among, like, and that's even against the Kikuchi score. Like, I'll say it. GT's better than Kikuchi. So that dude doing the score for this is dope, but I, for some reason, had a copy of, and I'm talking as like a 10-year-old child.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know. Well, I know why. My dad got it for me. I don't know why he got me that one. I don't know if he thought it was something else,
Yeah.
but it was a movie that he'd never seen.
Maybe he just saw that it was Dragon Ball and was like, "Oh man, this
Maybe.
is cool."
Yeah, maybe. But I used to listen to that soundtrack on fucking repeat, dude. I probably still have it somewhere among these discs.
It's awesome.
And if I don't, then I think I still have the music on my iPod.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
My iPod.
My iPod.
My iPod. So I don't know. Like for me, it was fun. It looked good, but it was a bad retelling of some of my great stories, but done in a very
Yeah.
sexy way. It was Dragon Ball porn. I think it's the best animated Dragon Ball movie ever.
Oh yeah.
But also, I'm biased because it's done by the GT people. It's
Yeah.
still 90s. It didn't get too digital by then, so
I think, and as much as I've shown how little of Dragon Ball I've watched in this discussion tonight,
dummy.
thanks. I still think.
But you know what though, Brandon?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to fucking cut you off, but what you just said was very important because people do have these thoughts. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to like Dragon Ball, but I feel like I can't because I don't even know some of the stuff that people talk about.
Yeah.
That's a stupid reason
So-
to let you be barriered out or barricaded out from a fucking entering a fandom. Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe we can crack the code here. Maybe we can figure out a good way to introduce Dragon Ball to people who want to start but haven't been able to.
That's what I was
Today, this episode is not it.
That's what I was going to say is that despite I know that there's good portions of good portion and chunks of Dragon Ball that I haven't seen.
Yep.
Like I don't think I've actually seen the Tien arc or the Piccolo Daimo arc.
Dude, I almost made us watch the movie where Tien and Chaozu were there. But,
Yeah.
and that's the other one I haven't watched.
Okay.
Reading the synopsis of it,
Yeah.
talk about taking a Dragon Ball story and retelling it your own way. This one straight up takes the characters and tells a brand new story.
Interesting.
It's fucked.
Than what was in canon.
Yeah,
Wow.
like Tien tries to kill Chaozu.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Tries to, because
What?
Chaozu's a fucking overpowered emperor who controls the government, and Shen
Jesus.
and fucking Tao Pai Pai and Tien try to conspire to kill Chaozu. Like, yeah,
Jesus.
that's how different it is. So I'm glad we didn't start there.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not going to be one of our.
I think what I was going to say was so not seeing all of Dragon Ball,
Yep.
definitely seeing all of Z and all of Super so far. I would still rather suggest to your friend Tom that he go and at least watch maybe the first 30, 35 episodes of Dragon Ball. Simply because
It's the OG.
it's the OG, but I feel like at very least you get a good bulk of the characters that you're going to experience at the beginning of Z. So Bulma, Krillin, Yamcha, Chi-Chi, which is important
Yep.
because of, their marriage, Ox King, Master Roshi, which is
Yep.
important, and how Goku is trained and how he becomes who he is. From there, you also to Pilaf, which becomes important in Super to a certain extent.
Yep.
You also get to learn
and
about
GT. Huh?
yeah. You also get to learn about the origins of Uzaru and the Great Ape. You learn about which all affects you early in Dragon Ball
Wow,
Z.
man, I think you're right. I think the best way to enter.
You
Instead of
still
trying
need to
to
watch
watch
those
a-
episodes. From there, if you're still interested, you can keep going, because if you keep going a little bit, you learn about Red Ribbon Army, which then affects you in Z watching Android Saga.
But in between that, well, that's a humongous gap.
Yeah. But even if you just get your first
Red Ribbon's
taste of
dope,
Red
but
Ribbon,
even between the end of the Dragon Balls the first time and Red Ribbon, you get the tournament arc, which is really where Dragon Ball finds its stride. Like that's Dragon Ball.
and that's what makes Dragon Ball what it is.
That's
yeah.
when it figures out what it is.
And then from there, there's probably some arcs and stuff that you could skip. Get a little bit of Tien. Get a little bit more importantly than Tien, as much as I love Tien, the Piccolo Daimyo Saga, which I'd love to go back and watch. But there you can then leapfrog into Z, where it picks up with Piccolo and Goku are kind of enemies, but they come together to fight for the common good against Raditz. And then you just go fucking surfing. You go gleaming. Yeah.
Then you go to Namek, bitch.
But
Then
I
you
think
come back from Namek and it's a whole new world.
Yeah, right. But I think while this movie was fun, everything's way too fast paced that you don't really get attached to any of the secondary characters. You don't get attached to Oolong. You don't get attached to Yamcha, Bulma, whatever. I don't know. It was just.
And then Goku fucking blows everything away from the massive Kamehameha
Yeah,
that he could have never done as a child, who's actually at this point in this movie canon never trained with Master Roshi.
As much as it's weird, I feel like, without Chi-Chi being introduced, things could get confusing.
Yeah.
Because if you watch that introduction movie, what was it called? The Path to Power. You watch that and then you go into Z, you're going to be like, how does Goku have a kid? What's going on?
Yeah. Goku don't know sex.
Yeah.
Did somebody teach Mo's sex?
Yeah. So, I think even the first 30 episodes of Dragon Ball are still, because by that point, you understand what the Dragon Balls mean. Why is the show even fucking called Dragon Ball? But you also get a sense of who these characters are.
Dragon Balls are very glossed over as a plot point in this movie until the end, where it's like, we got to bring Hachan back.
I think
without a bomb in him.
This movie was already becoming Dragon Ball Z atypical, where fighting is primary, Dragon Balls are secondary.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, the last time Dragon Balls are massively important for a while is the Namek Saga.
Yep.
And then they're kind of forgotten about throughout the Android and Cell Saga.
100%.
And the only reason they're important in the Buu Saga is because they're used at the very end to bring everyone back.
Yep.
After Buu's defeated. And again, that's secondary.
Same in this movie. The only reason they're used at the end is
that's
to
what
bring
makes this
Hachan
movie
back.
difficult is it starts out as a primary, but quickly falls
to all the fucking old Dragon Ball Z tropes, because again, it's a Dragon Ball story told by Dragon Ball GT.
Yeah.
Like that's the easiest way to think about it. This is a story from 1984 told by people who are making a Dragon Ball anime that does not follow any canon material, because they're trying to keep the franchise alive, because they want to keep their money going with their nice high quality animation in 1996. This is GT telling DB. OGDB as told by GT. OGDB as told by GT. Oh my God, is that the name of the episode? Probably
I'm
not.
going to make my final assessment that the first 35 episodes, we'll say, this is just a rough ballpark, are more valid and useful than this movie.
Yep. It's it's a fun movie for us as lifelong fans, but for my boy Thomas isn't fucking getting a proper or like a quality introduction to the series by having this be the gateway for him.
You have to realize, because of its length and whatnot, Dragon Ball series is a long haul.
Oh, it's an investment.
So if you don't invest in these first 35 episodes, you're probably not going to want to watch the rest of it.
Listen, if you have a tough time getting through the 153 in the first Dragon Ball series, then watch 167 of Dragon Ball Kai or whatever. And not the 291 Dragon Ball Z that us men watch. Actually, you know what I've got over there on the VHS, Brandon? Got the last 4 episodes of Dragon Ball Z on a VHS with the subtitles ripped from Japan.
Okay.
From 1980. I guess 5, 6, probably 6, whatever. I think it was January 96. Either way, I broke into my aunt's house the other day.
Oh boy.
And stole my VCR back.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I'm gonna watch some bootlegs.
Okay.
Me and Dan, we're gonna watch some fucking. Oh, Dan, shit! Congratulations to my brother. I feel like I bring Dan up so much on this goddamn podcast the last few weeks, but like I talk to Dan all the time.
Okay.
Security Dan, Dan Berardi, the brother, welcomed in his baby boy Ollie to the
dang.
world today.
Woo.
So today,
Woo.
like a few hours ago. So congratulations, Dan and Corey. I can't wait to meet the baby boy, or at least see some photos. We're trying to get now that Dan is in like. I talked to him the other day. I was like, "Yo, when are we gonna get you over for some pods?" He's like, "I can't leave my girl because she's due to pop any minute." I'm like,
He pulled a Vegeta move.
"What are you, fucking Vegeta, dude? Come on, man!" But he kind of is Vegeta.
I can't leave.
He's like the Vegeta to my Goku, except not as bitter and just cool. Unless you're the Vegeta to my Goku. Do you want to be Vegeta?
I'm the bitter one, yeah.
Yeah, you
I'm
bitter.
always bitter.
Bitter AF. Sorry, Dan. You could be Piccolo, Dan. Are you Piccolo now? You can't be
No.
both. Pick.
I'm Vegeta.
All right. Dan could be Piccolo.
I'm fat Vegeta. I'm like Vegeta.
PTSD Vegeta. Like PTSD Thor.
Jesus.
All right. So, long and
Thor.
the short is of this episode, Thomas, this is not an appropriate entry point for Dragon Ball.
Do not.
Do not enter
No.
unless you are an experienced, qualified
0.
fan. The Path to Power
0 points.
is not cool. Maybe we need to go back and watch the old Dragon Ball movies now. Because they also do. Here's the interesting point, all right? Because
Yeah.
I didn't know this until today, doing research before we sat down today.
All right.
The original airing of the first Dragon Ball series between 86 and April of 89 when it ended and it switched over to Z.
See.
That shit was never re-aired. That shit was
Wow.
never released for home video consumption until 2004, I think. Or
Yeah.
2003, 2004.
For the movies, not the series.
For the series.
Really? So Dragon Ball was
It aired on TV once. They went to the next new episode the next week.
not even do reruns?
No, they don't do reruns like that in Japan, especially when it goes from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z to GT.
Jesus. How,
Dragon Ball
so
Z-
what happens if you missed an episode? You're screwed?
Hopefully you catch the fucking recap.
Oh, Jesus.
Seriously.
Wow.
Yeah. So they never did reruns of Dragon Ball. So when they released Dragon Ball movies, even in Japan, and that's another thing I wanted to say, with the announcement of this Dragon Ball Super movie, everyone's like, oh, we're not getting an anime. And I talked about it on the King of the Monsters podcast.
Yeah.
People, back in the heyday of Z, which is arguably going to be dwarfed by the current state of Dragon Ball Super
Yeah.
if they keep letting it go as it's going.
Yeah.
Back in the heyday of Z, when we had a new episode of Dragon Ball Z every single week, we had a new movie. Look it up. We had a new Dragon Ball Z movie every single March
Yeah.
and every single July
Yeah.
for 6 motherfucking years.
And they weren't even canon, too.
So you had to wait between 4 and 8 months to get a new Dragon Ball Z. That's more than one a year, obviously.
Yeah.
So the idea that the announcement of a new Super movie says there's not going to be an anime, a new television show, that's fucking stupid. Okay,
That's
they can
insane.
totally coincide.
Yeah.
Okay, but the movie that we watched today, you know, it came out as an old story during the Dragon Ball GT era while it was airing.
See-
The Dragon Ball Super, the original Dragon Ball
Dragon Ball.
the original Dragon Ball series was never aired, never mass produced till 2004 for home release. So
See, that's
every
a-
time they make one of those stories, they have to do a slight retelling
That's
to get everybody on the
that's
same
an
page.
even crazier curveball, because for the people who never experienced Dragon Ball, like that was the only experience they had until 2004. That's even more corrupted. That's messed up. I'm out. That's it.
You out?
I'm done.
You Dunzo?
Jesus.
You can't be Dunzo, man. You can't.
That's wow. That's mean.
What?
That was the closest thing people had to Dragon Ball if they never experienced it the first time around.
It was this movie,
Yeah.
or not this movie, but any movie.
This
in
is like a
general they
corrupted
make.
file version of Dragon
I mean,
Ball.
it is, but like the animation is better.
No, that's great. No, I get that, but I'm talking about just purely the story and the history. You know, until 2004 when people finally see like an episode of Dragon Ball for the first time.
It's a minor retelling, Brandon. Say hi.
There you go. Hi.
Ha! Drop my phone almost. I'm not exactly happy with it either. But from an aesthetic perspective, the music, the animation visuals, it's tan, shiny skin instead of pale, shiny skin.
Yep.
This is, for my money, as much shit as I just talked about it, massacring the fucking storyline of Dragon Ball.
You still enjoyed it.
I know. I loved it. How many times did I stop and look at you and say, wow, that shot
You did. It was.
It's
You almost
beautiful.
became a porn director at that point.
Oh my God.
That's a money shot. That's a money
I
shot.
felt like I was in film school, but like there are so many beautiful Dragon Ball porno shots that just look so good. This movie is beautiful. If you're a lifelong fan of the franchise, watch this movie because aesthetically speaking, it looks outside of Master Roshi's voice actor, who, by the way, is a one-off, and my ears knew it immediately.
Yeah.
Tell him, Brandon.
He did. He was not a happy camper.
Immediately, I was like, that's not Roshi.
He had a Monster Energy drink. He would have stabbed it.
God damn it, Brandon. I don't drink Monster Energy drinks. And you know that. Don't fucking contribute to the stigma. You butthole. All right, so now that Krillin is somebody who was cut out of this movie profusely, like not
Fucking
mentioned at all,
Stupid.
whatever. If you don't know, every Wednesday on our Patreon page, we release a free podcast and we alternate each week. Some weeks it's about My Hero Academia. Some weeks it's about the original Dragon Ball series. Me and Jimmy got together yesterday, drank like 20 beers and a thing of whiskey in 3-4 hours. And we watched episode 17 of the original Dragon Ball series. Life at Stake, Milk Delivery, something like that.
Yeah.
And the milk delivery scene, like that's Dragon Ball 101, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, if you don't know milk delivery and you say you're a Dragon Ball fan, you're not a Dragon Ball fan. And I don't want to talk to you because you fucking pose there and use a fake. And that's the fucking haps of Jax. So now you're gonna get to listen to me and Jimmy talk about the milk delivery episode. But before we transition back over to the drunk sound, you got anything you need to say, Brandon?
I think I've spoken my gospel.
Well, I missed you, man. I'm happy we had you back talking about Dragon Ball
That's
today.
it. DB World, man. That's it. We'll have to try and watch this weird STN movie where he tries to kill Chaozu now. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so maybe we can get you over here twice a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Once will be a Dragon Ball movie. Well, if the series comes back, dude. If the series comes back and you're still fucking fighting the Revolutionary War 100 nights a year, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Oh. We'll find out what happens on next week's episode of Hospital.
All right. Now, here, listen to this sound of me and Jimmy talking about episode 17 of the original Dragon Ball series, Milk Delivery. Episode 17, Milk Delivery, that's what we're up to.
Milk Delivery.
Middle, we are fucking middle, yeah. All right, welcome back to the OGDB.
OJDB.
And if you're hearing it on the main Super Dope feed, this shit's free on Wednesdays. So you can check that out on patreon.com/DragonBallSuperDope. We're talking about episode 17 today. Although, I do have to say, first of all, this song is lovely, okay? So, let's try, Nakafushigi. That's the name of the song. Nakafushigi Adventure. You know who that is?
No.
Who's playing this tune?
Who?
Any Metal.
Any Metal.
Wow, that was a terrible scream that I just did. Every once in a while, I have like a good Rob Halford up in this bitch. But yeah, this is Animetal covering. This is Animetal covering Makofushigi Adventure, the original Dragon Ball opening theme. So I listened to the entire Animetal Marathon 1 earlier today when I was recommending it, talking about it with a friend of mine, my buddy Dan. And I was like, listen to this. And then he sent me a bunch of Japanese metal in return, but like way more metal, like heavier, newer metal. And I was like, This just found its way to my Spotify J-pop playlist. So we're talking about episode 17 of the original Dragon Ball series today. So if you don't listen to the OGDB, we do it on Patreon once a week. Well, I should say twice a month. We alternate every other Wednesday with Super Dope Plus Ultra, where we do My Hero Academia discussions. We're talking about episode 17 today. I realized, though, we skipped a couple episodes somewhere. I think we skipped. Hold on. I got it. Yeah, we somehow did not record a podcast for episode 13 or 4. Like, what are two random numbers to just skip over?
You sneak them in at the end.
I feel like we should sneak them in when nobody's looking.
Yeah.
That's not
Anytime.
cool. You need consent. So, you know what we're talking about today is with life at stake, milk delivery,
Milk steak.
magnets,
Little
ghouls,
green ghouls.
sneeze. Did we already say magnets? I said
Yes.
magnets.
Magnets.
So this is like Dragon Ball 101. This is a big building block of Dragon Ball lore.
Yeah.
Goku goes to train with Kame Sennin. He's got to do milk deliveries to all over the GD place.
And the best part is he's making them deliver the milk so that he can steal the money. He's definitely getting paid for that.
He's probably getting paid. I like how when they get to the last client at the top of the mountain or the top of the stairs, he's like, "Yo, Abbott, what's up, man?" And Abbott's like, "Yo, you back in the milk game? Cool. Use your new boys? Cool." Abbott hands up the money. End of transaction. It's definitely a fun time, but we get to see a little bit about, or we get to see a little bit more insight into living in the Kami house, Kame house, Kame.
Kamias.
So Goku sleeps at lunch.
No, he falls asleep with the other chick and wakes up with lunch.
I mean, she's the same chick. She's one sneeze away from being one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my
In
mouth?
the middle of the night sometimes she turned into the crazy one.
And Master Roshi and Krillin are mad cuddly. It's kind of cute. But Goku sleeps on a brick. You notice that? His pillow's a brick.
Yeah.
Straight up. Is that like a training thing, you think? Or you think he just can't afford a pillow?
I think it's just a non-intelligent thing.
Oh, don't.
Goku's banged his head a few times, bro.
Doesn't mean he takes comfort on a fucking hard old brick.
Maybe he just doesn't know any better. He doesn't understand it. He's set in his ways.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. Lunch wakes up. I can't commit on a way that I want to. Sometimes I say lunch. Sometimes I say lunch. Right now I'm saying lunch. Usually I say lunch. Lunch wakes up and she's like, "Oh no, I sneezed back from the... Why do I sneeze and do such terrible things? Why can't..." So she's conscious of the changes she makes when she sneezes, which is interesting to me. Up to this point, I felt like they're two people sharing the same body. But whatever. Roshi's peeping through her keyhole and trying to see her booty shake through the sheets. And then he tries to wake Goku up with the broom. And that doesn't really...
Hey.
Hey, wake up.
Wake up, man. Wake up.
Wake
Hey.
Wake up. Wake up.
Grab your brush, put on a little makeup.
Way to shake up.
Why'd you leave your keys up on the table?
Let's go and play the game Fable. You wanted to. So Launch wakes up and shoots several shots at Goku's balls with a gun because she sleeps with her guns.
Yep.
That's scary.
Clearly.
She shoots him right in the dick.
And he says, "You will not defeat me." And then he kicks that bitch right in the face.
Right in the goddamn face.
Shoot
knocks
her in
her
the
out.
middle of her face.
And Roshi's
knock the
like,
fuck out.
Dude, this is a real fucked up part of Dragon Ball. Like, I don't remember registering this scene like this until today, but Goku kicks her out, unconscious. And Roshi walks up to her and licks the tip of his finger, his index finger, and he's like, "Winds 4 kilometers by southwest." Like, just,
He was trying to touch the titty. And then Goku
No.
caught him. Yeah, in the first scene, you were looking away. I remember he was going down to touch the titty, and Goku was like, "What's going on?" And he was like, the wind is this." Like, he was trying to touch straight nipple.
You know what I would like to have that scene be? Or you know what I think would be more fucked up? Not what I would like it to be, because it'd be fucked up. Well, I would like it. No, what would have been more fucked up to have done
If he dipped it in the...
is if Master Roshi's like, all right, Son Goku, I got to check the weather on this young broad. And then just Cosby. Not cool,
Yeah.
but that's where I thought the joke was. I guess I missed the 1-2 second shot before that.
Cosby wouldn't lick his finger first.
Good point. Jello pudding pop. So, I don't know. Launch in this whole capacity, we've pretty much reached the limit of what she does in this series. She is a sexual object. She shows up and shoots things when she sneezes, and sometimes she cooks food. And I think she washes their laundry once or twice.
I would marry her.
I would marry her too.
I would marry her right now.
The blonde one, the blue-haired one, though.
I would marry them both wrapped up in that one crazy triangle. Because it would be real hot when she's like crazy and horny.
Yeah.
Like shooting guns at me, but still trying to break a piece off, you know?
All right, so you and Lunch are getting married. Which one is at the ceremony, the blonde hair or the blue hair?
It depends.
Nope. You're at the wedding ceremony. You know which one you're saying I do to. It's one or the other.
It's
not
the
both.
blonde one.
What?
All day.
She'll shoot you in the dick.
I know.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know. Maybe I have some subconscious to torture my family.
Or yourself, bro. She'll
Yeah, that
kill
too.
you. You're not a fucking anime character. If she shoots you with a submachine gun, you will die.
I have quick reflexes.
You will die.
I will find those guns.
You will die. So they're told by son. They're told by Mutan Hiroshi Kamisinin that they gotta wake the fuck up at 4:30 in the morning. We're gonna go take care of business. Gonna go make some scratch on the side.
Yeah.
Gotta go hustle this paper.
Hustle. It's
Krillin's
paper.
like, it's only 4:30 in the morning. Gramps, he's like, you shut the fuck up, Baldy. Drink this milk. Krillin's like, look. He's like, no, that's not what I meant. I meant drink it and dig what I'm putting down. I'm about to have you two little boys at 12 and 14 years old, respectively,
breaking all the labor laws.
breaking all the labor laws, delivering my milk for free. And he's like, all right, cool. Where's it going? Like around town? He's like, in a way. All around the goddamn hemisphere.
Yeah, and they gotta skip.
It only gets better. They
Run zigzags.
Zigzagu.
Zigzagu,
It's like a
zigzagu.
Scooby Doo fucking commercial. It's like a Scooby Doo cartoon in this bitch. Zigzagu going left and right in the forest.
Oi.
Looks so ridiculous. They have to fucking get a map of where to go.
Isn't that the man show thing?
Oi. Ziggy
Zig,
zag.
zag. Oi.
Ziggy zag. Oh my God. Good call. Is it a Japanese thing?
Yeah, maybe they were brainwashing us.
Ziggy zaggy. Zigu zagu. Oi. Oh my God. Did the man show, Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel do this to us?
Yes.
Sheesh, Luis. I don't even know what to believe.
Chase.
So, this is ridiculous. All right, milk. Oh yeah, they gotta deliver milk. So they get a map from like a goat man. He's like a goat, but he's well mannered for sure. Definitely speaks Japanese. Friends with Master Roshi, I guess, because he gives Master Roshi a map of where the milk needs to go to.
Yeah.
I miss the days of Dragon Ball where animal humanoid characters were aplenty. Like the king of the world was a dog with some glasses and a suit. That was the goal.
Old doggy suit.
The map keeper in this world is a goat, man. Like I'm down with that too. Fucking Bulma gets kidnapped by some kind of pteranodon looking motherfucker in like the second episode of Dragon Ball. And he talked mad shit to Goku. It was mad cunning in his words, because he spoke words.
It's probably one of the episodes you didn't show.
No, episode 2 we totally did. Episode 4 though, skimping.
Yeah.
Either
lost
way.
in translation.
At some point in Dragon Ball, they stopped having these animalistic human crossbreed characters. Like almost entirely, they disappear. It's weird. And the reason I bring it up, and the
No
reason
explanation.
No, not really, no. There's no real explanation, but there's a noticeable shift. However, here's what I'll say. As I typically do on this podcast, calling out my main boy, Lance, Mr. Fusion. He recently did another episode of his Dragon Ball Dissected series. He's into the Cell games now. And he pointed this out to me. He's like, not to me, but to his audience. But to me, it opened my eyes because I never thought about it like this before in 25 years of watching Dragon Ball. I'm like, what? Oh my God, what a brilliant point. When they leave Earth and they go to Namek and they go do the Frieza thing, and they come back to Earth after Namek gets jolly well fucked up and destroyed, the whole dynamic, what Earth even looks like, and the character designs of the extras, or whatever you want to say, that they meet on Earth, changes dramatically for some reason. They come back to like a borderline new planet where like all these animal humanoid characters are just gonzo. And like I've never really thought about it. I've never really noticed it.
Yeah.
But he pointed it out to me and I'm like, yo, that's like the A, B, and BC of fucking Dragon Ball history right there. Or at least it should be.
Yeah.
BF before Frieza, PF post Frieza, after Namek, AN, PN and AN or something. I don't fucking know. P means peaceful, Namek. I don't know. Either way, I think it's an interesting point. If you haven't gone to check out Mr. Fusion's Dragon Ball Dissection series on YouTube, you fucking should, because you will learn shit there. It's interesting.
AF.
It's interesting AF. For some reason, when Master Roshi tells Krillin and Goku that they have to skip to their next milk delivery, and Krillin's like, skip it. I don't know what it was, but like, I heard it in your brother's voice when I read the subtitle. Like just mad sassy and pissed. And I was like, yo, Carlton should be like the Krillin in a Dragon Ball, like a regular Dragon Ball.
He's already got a shaved head.
It's true. Plus, he's also a little bit of a gay.
Yeah, and we'll paint some stars on his head and marry him to a robot.
Yeah, no, he'd fuck a robot for sure. For sure. Wow, the more we talk about it, the more he becomes Krillin. But the sound, or like the idea of your brother just being like, skip. And then he just skips along. Like I could totally fucking see that. Zigzago, 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 zigzago. They have to. That's what they come to the stairs, and they gotta climb like a mountain full of stairs. And that's when I believe that Carlton would be like, in this year in 1838, archaeologists believe that Indiana Jones found something that was, I don't know what's happening anymore. When they come to this mountain with all the stairs, I just imagine Krillin Carlton being like, so many stairs.
Yeah.
My mom walked this many stairs once with Richard Simmons. Like, I can imagine him telling a story like that.
Yeah.
And then starting to fucking climb the goddamn stairs. And Master Roshi, he's just like front and center, like, phew. Goku's right behind him ish. Krillin's further behind because he's Carlton now. And, yeah, Goku gets to that little rest stop area, landing. And Gyumao's just like sitting there. Roshi is just sitting there fucking smoking the peace pipe. He's like, what's up? What's up, Son Goku? What is up with this milk, bro? And he's like, one time your grandfather, Gohan, and his boy, Gyumao, they were training, doing this milk run. It was so cool. Goku's like, what? My grandpa did this? Right up the rest of the mountain. Like it's magic. And that's when they meet Abbott. And he's like, yo, what's up, Roshi? Here's some milk money. He's like, you getting these kids ready for the tournament? The Tenkaichi Budokai.
Yeah.
21st Tenkaichi Budokai. This is the first hint, first instance, the first clue that we get as a viewer of this anime as to where the series is going to go. Because, like, we already collected the Dragon Balls. Now we've been hanging out on a fucking island with some perverted old man and a turtle for, like, the last 4 episodes. What more can we actually do? There's a tournament. Cool. We have a goal to work towards now. And obviously that drives their want to finish the milk deliveries for the day, get back to the island, take a GD nap, and have Roshi be like, get ready to do it again tomorrow, and then we can train for real. And this is your new fucking thing that you do.
Yeah, that's your morning trainment. Or no, that's your early trainment, and morning trainment will start right after.
I don't think trainment's a word.
Or training, whatever.
Trainment
Trainment.
sounds like like the quinceañera version of Thomas the Tank Engine's life. Thomas the Tank Engine instead of Thomas the Tank Engine instead of having a quinceañera would have a what?
A trainment.
A trainment. Oh my god. Meanwhile, across the desert, there's the Desert Bandit.
Dun.
I thought you were gonna sing more than just that one note. Did you say more to the song?
No.
So anyway,
I believe I made my point.
across the desert,
Yamcha.
you were gonna go. Dun.
Dun. It's Yamcha.
He's just knocking motherfuckers out in a karate dojo,
Yeah.
like one by one, punching them in the throat. Boom, you're a pussy. Boom, you're a pussy too. Boom, I'm never gonna get stronger and be able to beat Son Goku with this trainment with these losers.
What's his Pikachu's name? Poir.
For a second, I was like, "Is Pikachu? What are you? What? Yamcha doesn't have a." Oh yeah, he kind of does. He does. Yeah, his Pikachu's name's Poir.
Yeah. Poir's getting
like,
all like, no, he will be Goku.
Does Poir have a smoker's cough like that now?
Yeah, apparently.
Try it out again.
No, he will be too.
Jesus Christ, dude, you sound worse than Brian. When he's imitating his mom. How's Brian doing?
He's all right. He's an asshole.
Oh, why?
Just he is He's messy and gross and fucking. Our other roommate moved back in. He's mad clean. He like cleaned the whole entire house one day. We came home from work and he's like, "Oh, does the place look good?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it looks fucking awesome." And Brian's like, "I didn't fucking notice. Can't even tell the difference." I'm like, "Dude, there was liquor bottles everywhere before he cleaned it. How can you not tell the difference?" And he cleaned the walls and shit. Like what?
So, again, this has been an amalgamation of Super Dope, regular old Dragon Ball Super Dope, and then the OG Dragon Ball Super Dope that we do for Patreon. So, this is This is volume 17.
Yeah.
Right.
Brian's an OG superstar.
I guess, yeah. He's been on like 5 episodes, and in those 5 episodes, there are points where he is exceptionally drunk. There are points where he just continues to accidentally bang his head against the wall behind him involuntarily, like, like shit like that. But then there's this one, and honestly, I think it must be Death Note Super Dope. It must be Death Note.
Yeah, it's Death Note.
There's an episode where me and Amber, it might even be a My Hero, Super Dope Plus Ultra. Brian comes and does these episodes with us for OGDB, and he does like 2 or 3, and he leaves, and he's like, "Hey Jimmy, you think Kyle would let me record my podcast at his place?" And Jimmy's like, "I don't know, maybe." So Brian decides to go home and like do a pilot episode of what his podcast would be like on his iPhone, and he it's just him and Jimmy on the couch, and Brian proceeds to tell this long ass story about this one time when he was in jail and then got out of jail. Doesn't tell us how he got in jail. Doesn't tell us what he did, but tells us how he got out of jail. And proceeds to like take some mushrooms and get really
He
high.
stole a police officer's uniform.
I know.
That's a podcast in its own.
And that would have been a way more interesting podcast, but he must have thought that he was going to save face for himself. It was like, can't let people know my business, so I'll just tell them instead about how when I got out of jail, I immediately had to get some mushrooms and deliver pizzas. And it's like this 4-minute thing of him just talking at you. And then he gets to the end of the story, which, by the way, I'm not even sure how the story ends because I'm not even sure. I don't know. I don't even know how the story goes. But he gets to the end of it and he's like, that was pretty good. How long was that? And you hear him like reach and pick up the phone like 3.5 minutes. What the fuck? And then the recording stops. He thought he talked out like 10 minutes worth of a story.
He thought it was like 35.
And when he sent it to me, he's like, yeah,
to me, it felt like 35.
when he sent it to me, he's like, this is me trying to riff with deadweight Jimmy. I'm like, dude, it's not like Jimmy's dead. Jimmy doesn't say anything at all. It's like at Weekend at Bernie's. It's a podcast version of Weekend at Bernie's. And you don't even have a friend to fucking hang out with your dead uncle's body. It's worse than Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I can't believe he thought it was good.
But me and Aunt, we did. What?
He thought it was good.
Oh.
He was
I was
like,
gonna say
"That
you
was
thought we
good."
thought it was good because me and Amber ripped the shit out of it, dude. It was so funny.
I was there. I just couldn't follow the story.
Who could?
Yeah.
1 minute he's like, I'm in jail and I get my clothes back and I get back to the pizza place and I'm restocking the sodas. And the dude comes in and gets me some mushrooms and I say, I'm gonna take these right around the time about an hour before I leave to go home. Like even the way that I'm saying it now is basically how he said it. And then he's like, and I get in my car, but the mushrooms already happened and I don't know what's happening and I don't want to go back to jail. And I'm like, what'd you go to jail for in the first place? Start at the beginning. What the fuck? All right, so that's life with life at stake, milk delivery. With life at stake, milk delivery.
Milk Steak, episode
Steak.
17.
Magnets. If you enjoyed this podcast, which will be out on the Super Dope feed, edited, the unedited will be up on the Patreon for Frizzy for the Wednesday. For Frizzy, for
Faux Frizzy.
that was good. Now we should play some Super Nintendo.
Yes.
Okay, and also
Halo 5.
maybe
Maybe.
whatever. Eat up your soul out of it. Okay, bye.